Hello and welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Jess and I read a lot to deal with not dealing with anything else in my life, but here we are. The reason we're all here today is for my February TBR. Now this will be the fourth time that I filmed this. The first time the footage was completely unusable, the lighting was horrific and the sound sounded like I was doing it underwater. The second time I tried to film it, I got halfway through and then realised I hadn't pressed record. And the third time I filmed it, I made sure that I'd pressed record and the footage is nowhere to be found, so I don't actually know what happened with that. So here we are, fourth time lucky. I believe that's a thing. If not, we're going to make it a thing. And we are now halfway through February. It is the 13th as I'm filming this. So obviously I have already picked my TBR for February. So we're just going to run through and I'll tell you what I'm attempting to read in February. Let's get a drink, get comfy, let's chat. So for February, I followed the same rules that I implemented in January, and it was I was going to pick 6 TBR prompts, and then the rest of my TBR, some of them will be compulsory reads for book clubs, and the rest I can sort of mood read or carry on with the series as I go through. So the first prompt that I picked out was a book picked by a friend. So for this, I just went straight to the WhatsApp group, asked the girls, first person to respond gets to choose a book, and the first person to respond was Chloe. Chloe loves a dark romance. She loves twisted books. She loves the freakier side of things, and her suggestion for me / demand was Circus Creeps by Aidan Pierce. This is we'll go with dark romance. It's spicy. It follows the FMC who joins a circus in a bid to try and find a place that she belongs because she's half succubus. The circus itself is full of supernatural creatures that have all come from the underworld. So we've got demons, we've got incubuses, there's a couple of other varieties in there, and we'll go with hijinks ensue. Chloe has suggested this book to me with the caveat that she's already fairly certain I'm not going to enjoy it. But I don't mind spice in a book. I like a spicy book when that is the entire premise of it, when we're not trying to say, oh, this is really plot heavy and this is really deep and meaningful, and in reality they're just getting their rocks off within page 5. Otherwise, if a spicy book is sold literally just as a spicy book, I'm here for it. I'm here for the vibes. I can look past the plot holes, I can look past any other issues I might have with the book, and I can just enjoy it for what it is. So I am hoping that that's where we're at with Circus Creeps. I'm saying that, I have already read it. I went into it hoping that's what I was going to get, and you'll find out my actual thoughts when I do my February wrap up. But yeah, I went into Circus Creeps scared. It was not something that I would usually pick, but I think it'd be quite good, something to kind of break up heavier books on my TBR this month, and just to also cleanse the palette after reading sort of heavy sci-fi or fantasy books. So I do think it has its place, and we'll see how that goes in a couple of weeks. The next book that I picked out was a book that has a movie or TV adaptation, and this was an easy pick. This was an easy pick to me because I very nearly picked it in January, but at that point I was like, I'm starting too many series this month, so there was only one thing that I could go for. And I've just realised that you can probably see the books I'm going to talk about within this pile here, but can't see anything. Just carry on listening to me, guys. I'm starting my Cassie Clare journey. I'm starting with City of Bones, the first one in the Shadowhunters series. I kept seeing Emmy talk about this series and she's got me obsessed with it without even reading it. I love YA from a certain point in time because they are so nostalgic to read. There's that feeling of getting lost in a world, and it's just something really special that you don't get when reading a modern fantasy. You can still love a modern fantasy, but the feelings are completely different. So I'm so excited to start it. So Shadowhunters is an urban fantasy throughout. There's a 20 odd books, and I think it's getting its final spin-off series this year. It's something that I definitely should have read. I think it's definitely something that I would have loved if I'd have read it when I was younger. So I'm very, very intrigued to see how my thoughts go reading it as a grown adult. The reading list that I'm going to follow, I will put a picture up here. So basically I'm going to do the first 3 books of the Mortal Instruments, then read Infernal Devices, and then come back to the second 3 in the Mortal Instruments series. Clary Frey is seeing things, vampires in Brooklyn and werewolves in Manhattan. Irresistibly drawn to the Shadowhunters, a secret cadre of warriors dedicated to ridding the world of demons, Clary encounters the dark side of New York City and the dangers of forbidden love. So, as you can tell, this one is modern day New York. I think it's set early 2000s, but modern day New York. And then the Infernal Devices goes to Victorian London. So just the fact that it's even set in different time frames that you don't usually get within fantasy books, I'm so excited to read this. We then got the author has a first name that could be a last name, and immediately I was like, Cassandra Clare, but we've already picked her, so I couldn't go for that. So I ended up going for, I need to get my phone to remember everything, I ended up going for The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. So The Bone Shard Daughter is the first book in the Charming Empire trilogy, and the blurb says, the Emperor's reign has lasted for decades, his mastery of bone shard magic powering the animal-like constructs that maintain law and order. But now his rule is failing and revolution is sweeping across the Empire's many lands. Lynn is the Emperor's daughter and spends her days trapped in a palace of locked doors and dark secrets. When her father refuses to recognise her as heir to the throne, she vows to prove her worth by mastering the forbidden art of bone shard magic. Yet such power carries a great cost, and when the revolution reaches the gate of the palace, Lynn must decide how far she is willing to go to claim her birthright and save her people. Love a fantasy that's got a big world. I love a fantasy that can bring in an entirely new magic system. And then I've got to the end of the little squares with my prompts on. So I then picked out a book with an odd number of pages. So there was a couple of options I could go for this, but I thought I'll be sensible and I will continue with a series that I haven't completed. So for that one, I picked up Kill Switch by Penelope Douglas. So this is book 3 in the Devil's Night series. If you've not read it, Devil's Night is a dark romance, centres around these 4 boys who are called the Horsemen. They all went to high school together and were framed / wrongly arrested for a crime that they didn't commit, and they've all spent multiple years in prison. So they're interconnected standalones. The first book covers Michael, and I can't remember, what's his girlfriend called? Rake? It's not Rake, it's something out of the ordinary though. Hold on. Please hold. Rika. That's it. It's Erica. Michael and Rika. And I hated them. I did not like their story. I did not like them. I did not want them to have a happy ever after. I was thoroughly disappointed by the whole thing. The best part about it is the sauna scene when Rika gets taken to Paris. If you read it, you'll know what I mean. However, I thought, I don't hate the story, I just specifically hated those characters. So I read book 2, which is Hideaway? Yeah, so book 1 is Corrupt, book 2 is Hideaway. Hideaway follows Kai and Banks, and I love them. I love Kai so much. I just wanted him to be looked after. I just wanted to get everything that he wants in life. I needed that boy to have a happy ending. The other thing I need to say is, does a dark romance need to be this big? I asked Chloe this because she's read it and her answer was yes. And then she got annoyed at me for disputing it because she really loves this series. But book 3 follows Damon, who has been the worst in book 1 and 2, but to the point that you know he's got a story that needs to be told. So it follows Damon and Winter, and the blurb says, sending Damon to prison was the worst thing Winter could have done. It didn't matter that he committed the crime or that she wished he was dead. Winter thought he'd cool off in jail and become anything but the horror he was, or that at the very least she'd have time to disappear before he got out. But she was wrong. 3 years came and went too fast, and prison only gave him time to plan. and while Winter anticipated his vengeance, she didn't expect this. He doesn't want to make her hurt, he wants to make everything hurt. Damon knows he needs to get rid of Winter's father, giving Winter, her sister and her mother nowhere to run. The Ashby women are desperate for a knight in shining armour, but that's not who's coming. It's time Damon took control of his future. It's time he showed them all that he will never stop being the nightmare they think he is. Damon won't have to break into Winter's home to do it. As the new man of the house, he has all the keys. So, like I said, Damon has very clearly had a story to tell in the last two. So I do think this one's going to be very interesting. I think it's going to be dark. I think there's going to be some very heavy themes addressed in this book because Damon is messed up. Damon has got some problems. But so many people say that this is their favourite out of the entire quartet. So I'm hoping that it lives up to the hype. And once they finish this, there is one more story. So there is Nightfall. And then I think there are 2 novellas, but I'm not sure how essential they are to the story. Or even if I should have read them before maybe going into Hideaway or this one. Don't know. But either way, the actual main story, 4 books, this will be the 3rd one off that. We then got my most recently released book on my TBR. And I thought, great, because this means I'm going to finally be able to read one of my sprayed edges. I have got the Alima Crate subscription and I unpack it every month, get really excited about the book and then put it on my bookshelf so it looks really pretty and then never read them. So one of my aims this year is to read through my sprayed edges. I have punished myself by turning all of my sprayed edges that I have not read away from me, so I can't appreciate the beauty of them. I'm only letting myself turn them back round once I've read them. So at the point of me doing my TBR, I had January's Alima Crate, but I hadn't yet opened it, so I wasn't counting that. So the most recent one that I had on my bookshelf, A Rather Vengeful Accord by Danielle Knight, and it is stunning. The edges. End papers. Oh. It's very cool looking. I do also have a plain version of this because I got sent one by Daphne Press as an ARC, but I don't know where it is. That's a really good question actually, thanks for asking. I genuinely don't know where I put that. So I am going to read that one when I find it because I don't actually want to damage my nice edges, but I do want to have said I've read them. So, A Rather Vengeful Accord. At the elite college of St. Pendergast, gravers raise the dead and turn corpses into unnatural abominations, while spirers battle undead horrors in grand arenas, thrilling crowds with divine spectacle. Hale and Kilquire will kill and resurrect anything to study graving at St. Pendergast. But Hal cannot enlist alone. The only way she can secure admission is to enter a dangerous accord with her mortal rival, Alistair Fulton, a handsome, accomplished spirer and the infuriating exiled scion of the great Fulton dynasty. As Hal and Alistair fight grisly creatures and ghastly peers side by side, Hal faces the horrors of necromancy and the revolting prospect of a romance with her own nemesis. I think this sounds really good. So obviously we've got the Dark Academia aspect, which Dark Academia is definitely not my favourite in terms of like fantasy tropes. I get that some people rave about them. If it's done well, I really enjoy it. But for the most part, it always feels a little bit forced for me. However, this just seems quite unique with the magic system that they're gonna like implement within it. I like the fact that it's necromancy, so it's kind of got a darker side already, rather than having to try and force in a dark storyline, which always irritates me when they make it so it's like a dark romance or a dark academia, and the only reason it's dark is because someone's a bit grumpy. Like the whole necromancy thing, already a bit of a dark edge. So I'm very excited to read that one. As I keep saying about every book, because it's my TBR and therefore I'm excited to read every book I own. Ooh, so we then got to the last of my actual prompts, and it was a book that intimidates me. And I had a couple, again, that I could go for. I've got Brandon Sanderson, I've got the City of Gods and Monsters series, I've got John Gwynne's series, Jay Kristoff, all of these series that I'm intimidated by and scared to read. But I thought again, I've started some really big series recently. I'll go for something that hasn't got hundreds of books out within it, and I went for Annie by James Islington, and I've seen this everywhere recently. I mean, it's hefty, it's chunky, it is epic fantasy, high fantasy, however we want to call it. The Katsunaki may rule the world now, but they do not know everything. I tell them my name is Viz Telemus. I tell them I was orphaned after a tragic accident 3 years ago, and that good fortune alone has led to my acceptance into their most prestigious school. I tell them that once I graduate, I will gladly join the civilized society, and allowing my strength, my drive, and my focus, what they call will, to be leached away and added to the power of those above me, as millions already do, as all must eventually do. I tell them that I belong, and they believe me. But the truth is that I have been sent to the academy to find answers, to solve a murder, to search for an ancient weapon, to uncover secrets that may tear the Republic apart, and that I will never ever cede my will to the empire that executes my family. To survive, though, I will still have to rise through the academy's ranks. I will have to smile and make friends and pretend to be one of them and win. Because if I cannot, then those who want to control me, who know my real name, will no longer have any use for me. And if the hierarchy finds out who I truly am, they will kill me. And I think that sounds incredible. So it gives me Red Rising vibes, which I loved. I've demolished that series. And I like a Roman-based fantasy story. I think the way that the Roman Empire was run and the politics within it really lend itself to fantasy. It's a trope that is done quite a lot, or a story frame that is used quite a lot, but when it's done well, I just think it works perfectly. The magic system in this also, again, feels really unique, which I'm excited by. So when they talk about will, it sort of says in the blurb, it's your force, it's your drive, and the key divvies up the people within it, and depending on your birthright and what you've achieved in life, you get given a different ranking, and so everyone in that ranking cedes their will to the rank above them. So essentially it's a big pyramid, and obviously using up that will takes the life force away from somebody. So if you're at that bottom rung of the pyramid, your life is going to be used up a lot faster than somebody at the very top, and I just think that's a very interesting premise. It is, I think it's going to be a trilogy, but only books 1 and 2 are out, and that was it for my TBR prompts. So we then come to my compulsory reading section of the video. There are 2 books that I have to read this month for book clubs. So the first one is my book club's book of the month, and they chose The Veiled Kingdom by Holly Renee, I think. Yeah, Holly Renee. It's, from what I can see, right, please tell me if I'm going into this with too close of a mind and I should be more accepting of these books that are put on me. I joined this book club, it was completely my choice. It just feels like it's going to be a little bit cut and paste. Fleeing my father's cruelty, the wicked king who robbed me of a future, I faced death in the streets, caught between a rebellion and a tyrant's reign. Captured by those sworn to kill me, the rebels remain blind to my true identity, the missing daughter of the despised king. Faced with an impossible choice, I stand before them, join the rebels or face their blades. Yet Daka, the son of the ruthless rebellion commander, becomes torn between suspicion and a desire that mirrors my own. He allows no one to touch me, tries to protect me, yet threatens me at every turn. As secrets are weaved beyond our hidden realm, a fierce battle unfolds within me. As I get closer to the rebels and their cause, my loyalty to my kingdom clashes with my undeniable devotion to Daka and the burning connection between us. In a world where love and hate are 2 edges of the same blade, I find myself caught in a delicate dance between forbidden desire and my looming destiny. And it says it's got relentless danger, forbidden passion, and the intoxicating allure of enemies to lovers. I could read this and I could love it. My issue is, and I've said it before, and I'm sure I'll say it again, things are billed as enemies to lovers far too easily. If it is a true enemies to lovers, there is more of a chance of me enjoying it. However, what tends to happen in these books is they say enemies to lovers because of their roles in life, but within 30 pages they're smouldering at each other. Even if the action doesn't happen for a while, they're making the eyes, and then it bores me, and that ends up being the entire plot. I don't mind a romantic subplot in a story, but I want to be made to like root for those characters, and I want to feel their yearning coming off the page. I don't want to meet them within 30 seconds and think, right, we're now going to go through a load of pretend obstacles in the way of their relationship and we know how this is going to end up, and it ends up being that the romance overpowers the rest of the story a little bit. But I am a positive person and I will keep an open mind going into this. Please tell me if any of you have read it. We then have my TBC book. So last month I read my pick, passed it on to Lex. I have now got Jazz's pick, and it is A God of Wrath of Lies by K.M. Moranova. So my issue with this one is two-toned, two-layered, two-tiered. One is I don't really have an interest in reading K.M. Moranova, but again, don't really have a choice in that anymore. And the other one is the blurb of this book. It is odd. So it's the first book in the Pine Hollow series, which I think is just a trilogy. I was going to say a trio then, a trilogy. And it starts, trauma is haunting, twisted. It can take nearly everything we have, can't it? Or that we are, at least minded. Since my dog died, why, I don't want a dead dog. Why is that? Why is this in the blurb? I have been cursed with these dreams of blood and pain. I begin to lose touch with reality. Things that were once clear are now foggy. Why has the god of death plagued my life with loss? I despise the gods I've been raised to worship. They give nothing but rot and sadness. So why do I find myself crossing into the realm of gods and entertaining these same ethereal beings? These three males will be the end of me. So, dark fantasy romance. I'm hoping after this blurb it is a why choose, because I do like a why choose. I just don't understand why we'd have to kill off a dog. Right. Kill off a parent, sibling, cousin. I'm alright with that. Dog just seems a little bit sad. But sorry, I have just seen the review that comes at the top of this book on Goodreads just starts with, I made a mistake, and then they've one-starred it. So I'm going to stop looking at the reviews, because otherwise I will never read it, and I don't have a choice, I have to read it. So they're my two compulsory reads. I then in January made the decision that I'm going to actually try and get through the Goodreads challenges that they put on there, because quite often the books that are included in them are not ones I would usually pick up, and I thought try and broaden my horizons. So the three that I wanted to tick off this month was Lasting Reads, and for that one I have picked The Martian by Andy Weir, which has been made into a film, and it follows a guy who's an astronaut on a mission to Mars, gets abandoned there, and it's all about his rescue attempt, how he survives on this completely uninhabitable planet. And after reading Red Rising, I just felt like I was really going into sci-fi type books, and I thought that would be a good segue. It's obviously quite popular, so that's why that one got picked. We then had the Black History Month option, and for that one I have picked RuPaul's biography or memoir, because I love RuPaul. Who doesn't? So I'm really interested to learn about his life and how he became sort of superstar that we all know and love. And then the last one is Star Selection, and for that I have picked The Names by, let me find who, The Names by Florence Knapp. I saw this first of all on Jamie's channel, and it just sounded like such an interesting premise, so unusual compared to what I would usually read, because it's not fantasy or sci-fi or dark romance, and I just don't think I've seen anything like it. So, the extraordinary novel that asks, can a name change the course of a life? In the wake of a catastrophic storm, Cora sets off with her 9-year-old daughter Maya to register the birth of her son. Her husband Gordon, respecting the community but a controlling presence at home, intends for her to follow a long-standing family tradition and name the baby after him. Please don't name your baby Gordon. Good lord, no, we're not going to do that. But when faced with the decision, Cora hesitates. Spanning 35 years, what follows are three alternate and alternating versions of their lives, shaped by Cora's last-minute choice of name. In richly layered prose, the names explores the painful ripple effects of domestic abuse, the messy ties of family, and the possibilities for autonomy and healing. Through a prism of what-ifs, Florence Knapp invites us to consider the one precious life we are given. Full of hope, this is the story of three names, three versions of a life, and the infinite possibilities that a single decision can spark. It is the story of one family and love's endless capacity to endure no matter what fate has in store. I just think that sounds so interesting. And the average review on Goodreads is 4.15, which is incredibly high. In a bid to diversify my reading this year, something that sounds like that seems like a perfect way to do it, and to maybe get myself into more, is it speculative fiction? Is that what it's called? Books that don't involve dragons or magic. It seems like a good choice. Oh, what's my hair doing? So, I don't know how many books that is now. Oh wait, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 books we ended up on. So what was going to be my nice, concise TBR of 6 books really escalated. Mistakes may have been made, but what's new? Because I've got to be honest, like I said, we're on the 13th of Feb, and the Februariness of February is now really being felt. The shortness of this month is really starting to hit me, and I think we may be at a month where for the first time I don't finish my TBR, but we'll have to stay tuned and we'll have to see how that goes. But if you have got to this point in the video, thank you so much for sticking around. I really hope this video exists for you to watch, because like I said, 4th time lucky. And if you have got to this point in the video, then please leave me a like and a comment. If you have nothing to say, tell me what you're going to read this month, or leave me a dog emoji for Kaya Moranova. I can't wait to talk about that one with you guys, to be honest, because I do not understand what a dog is going to bring to this story. Anyway, if you've made it this far, thank you so much. Like, subscribe, hopefully I'll be back soon. Thank you.